There is a powerful paradox in the Stoic Dichotomy of Control. We can only learn this paradox as the result of moving through 3 levels of understanding. The final level is only truly final for the mythical sage, but we can visit this level more often with commitment and training to release our illusions of control and realize true strength. This is part 3 of 3 in our deep dive on the dichotomy of control. Make sure you listen to these in order as they build on each other. So if you haven't already, listen to part 1 and part 2 first, then come back here. Hey there, it's me, Core, and you're listening to Exercising Self-Control, from Fitness to Flourishing. These levels of practice, as I've organized them, are not prescriptive, they are descriptive. I'm not saying this is how we must approach our development. My purpose is to describe common understanding and common practice. Also, these levels are not necessarily uniform across all aspects of life. Some circumstances will challenge us more than others, and some days we are unfocused and lacking in discipline, progressing at times, backsliding at others. Advanced today, beginner tomorrow. Every moment provides an opportunity to choose, either in favor of our preferred excellence or otherwise. As I mentioned in The Foundation of Stoic Strength Training, part 2 of 3, even though only the ideal sage chooses invincibility in every moment, we absolutely have the option to choose invincibility in any moment. With that understanding, let's get into it. When first exposed to the dichotomy of control, we begin by grasping that nothing external to our body is in our control. Even though it's clearly explained the body is not within our power, as I elaborated in The Foundation of Stoic Strength Training, part 1 of 3, that's too much for most to accept at once. Let's begin with easier steps. As Epictetus put it in Discourses, begin quote, "Begin with the smallest and most fragile things, a pot or a cup." End quote. Other than cups that may break, here are some other examples. The weather. Rain falls despite our preferences. The machines we use. Even well-maintained machines may break down over time and unexpectedly. Other people's behavior. People do what they do, even if we prefer they do otherwise. Other people's opinions. Not everyone thinks as we do. With just a consistent application of the beginner's level understanding, we can achieve an equanimity most will consider admirable. To determine what's external and beyond our control, we can ask a simple question. Can I change these circumstances without moving or speaking? If it requires us having to communicate with someone else or move our body in any way, it's an external. We can relax knowing these things are beyond our power. There's an important caveat here. None of this is to proclaim we are helpless to change the external circumstances. This is a common misinterpretation of Stoic motivation. The promise of Stoicism, disconcerted by nothing and happy, results from our coming to terms with what is in our power and what is beyond our power. When we know with absolute certainty the only thing in our power is our intention and volition, we can choose excellence regardless of the circumstances. And that choice can include, and the Stoics demonstrate should include, the excellence we imagine for the circumstances themselves. This means we can strive to create the excellence we prefer for ourselves and the world at large. Our intent here is learning to strive for that excellence from a position of strength. That is, experiencing freedom, peace of mind, and security, as opposed to a position of weakness that is, experiencing dependence, anxiety, and insecurity. Our own experience of life and the difference we can make for others will work out better than with any other approach. Moving beyond the beginner's understanding, we must accept that even our own body and its assistance is not within our power. This is more challenging. The relationship we have with our body is so intimate, it seems as if our body is us. And, importantly, it responds to our thinking. This can make it seem as if we control our body. This is a subtle illusion. Without the body in some manifestation, which includes the brain and nervous system, we can't exist. Also, we've been learning and mastering movement, how to use our sense organs and brain since birth. We've been learning how to live within our body every moment of our life. We can choose to feed the body well, move it about the world, avoiding injury the best we can, exercise it, give it the rest we believe it needs. Yet, it will respond to the circumstances not according to what we prefer, but as it will. The body grows, deals with injury, bacteria and viruses, processes the food and water we feed it, responds to its environment, breathes, and dies as is its nature. It can deteriorate, lose parts, change its shape, and still function well enough for us to continue existing. The body responds so well to our thinking, it feels like control. Don't make this mistake. The equanimity and invincibility we seek depends on our separating fact from fiction. With practice, we can become masterful at directing the body. That direction is influence, however, not control. Control would mean we could simply choose to be healthy when we have a fever, choose to be energized when we're fatigued, choose to heal when we're injured, choose to stand balanced when we have vertigo, or choose to see clearly when we're nearsighted, for example. In all these circumstances, it's plain that none of these is simply a matter of choice. The body does what it does. That we have significantly more influence over our own body than what lies outside our skin doesn't matter. It's as much an external as the weather. Again, this understanding isn't to make us feel helpless or to suggest we give up on making any effort to change the condition of our body. Instead, all we need to do is dispense with the illusions that cause our suffering. Our suffering is self-inflicted. Suffering is our inevitable experience when we cling to illusions of control. Better to know the extent of our control and base our choices on that reality. An intermediate question to make this clear: can I change what's happening with my body by mere thought? If the thought doesn't result in an instant change, if it requires practice or repetition, it's not within our power. We can still work toward a high level of influence over our body, but that's still not control. The third and final level is grasping that our own mental circumstances are not within our control. Even rudimentary models of our cognitive landscape reveal other than conscious processes responding to the circumstances and directing our behavior. These may result in experiences contrary to what we consciously prefer. The limbic system is an example. This group of structures in the brain, much faster in processing speed and more powerful than the prefrontal cortex, takes over, so to speak, when threat is perceived. This is often referred to as the amygdala hijack. In circumstances categorized by the brain as most important, the limbic system will inhibit the functioning of the frontal cortex, that is, the seat of our rationality. To deal with things it perceives is in the body's best interest. Usually, this is survival-based behavior: fight, flight, freeze, or reproduction. In his book, The Chimp Paradox, Dr. Steve Peters labels this emotional brain as the chimp, which can operate counter to our rational brain, the prefrontal cortex, which he labels the human. He writes, begin quote, "This starts to explain many things, such as why you worry, or why you say things in the heat of the moment and then regret them, or why you can't stop eating, or why you don't exercise when you really want to, but just can't get your act together. The list is endless. Wonder no more. It is not you doing these things. It is your chimp that is hijacking you." End quote. Again, we can influence these non-conscious processes with our highly limited conscious thinking, but we do not have absolute control. To get to this advanced level understanding, you can ask yourself, do I ever do things I later regret, or otherwise behave in ways I'd rather not? If you're being honest, you must answer, yes, absolutely. That's definitely my answer. The degree of our conscious self-direction is limited by much more powerful, non-conscious brain processes and structures. As a result, we do things we didn't mean to do, yet we're responsible for having done them. There's no consensus from the scientific community, but our behavior is mostly non-conscious. That's the conditioning of our brain and nervous system that has occurred by chance, that is, because of our genetics or circumstance, or by our own choice. That is, we deliberately trained the behaviors and the skills we wanted to apply in our lives. Popular estimates suggest about 90 to 95% of our mental processing and decision making is non-conscious. Regardless of the actual percentages, and they may be even higher, we need to come to terms with how little control we have. Events unfold as they may, even within our own brain. That's the reality. Remember, we do not have power over reality. We have power through reality. You can't force reality to succumb to your will. The environment, the economy, the weather, other people, the body, even thoughts provided by the brain do what they do. The journey through these three levels of the dichotomy reveals a profound paradox. The more we recognize and accept what we cannot control, the more freedom we experience and the more effective we become. Each level of practice strips away another layer of illusion, bringing us closer to reality and, paradoxically, closer to genuine freedom. What remains when we've released these illusions of control? Active engagement with reality as it is, not as we imagine it is. We discover that our true power lies not in controlling outcomes, but in living each moment of choice with virtuous self-control. We act consistent with our highest values while realizing our most important goals, all the while allowing events to unfold as they may. It's the daily practice of doing what is ours to do and accepting what follows. Begin where you are. Pay attention to your desire for control. The warning signs are frustration, anxiety, or anger. Let it go. Focus on operating with excellence. Notice the freedom you feel. Also, notice how much more effective you're being. Here's the thing. Moment by moment, step by step, you'll discover that by putting all your effort into exercising virtuous self-control, focusing on what's up to you, you've also moved the world to a better place. It's the most effective way of operating in any circumstance. That's it for today. Catch you next time.